good book. No. Did I like it? No.
Okay, it's Friday, I'm bored, I don't really feel like reading, I've been in a reading slump, and my friend asked me to read Fourth Wing because everybody's talking about it on TikTok, and she said that she trusts my reviews over the people on Book Talk, which... valid. I get that. I've never trusted Book Talk. Sorry.
I have the book, and I'm going to start reading it. I'm also going to watch The Vampire Diaries while reading it, just because I don't want to read it.
I would also just like to quickly say, I'm on page 1. That's technically a lie. I'm on page 13, but the story starts on page 13. However, I don't know what this is about. The only thing I know is that there's dragons, but while my favorite genre is fantasy, if there is no romance subplot, I'm dropping this book. Like, I don't care. I need some sort of romance to, like, help me through a story. If there is no romance, I'm out. Please let there be romance. Please let there be a hot guy, okay? This is kind of weird. Like, we're in this fantasy setting, and I'm a little confused. The writing is not bad, but I feel so far removed from the main character because she's entering into this tournament, I think, where I don't know, actually. I don't know. But she's entering into this tournament. It has to do something with dragons. She has to fight. I don't know. Okay, it's not, I don't know. I don't know. But I feel so far removed from the main character, even though it's in her perspective, first person perspective. She doesn't say what she's feeling. She's talking to her mom, who doesn't really have any loving feelings for her. She's talking to her sister, which we don't really know what their relationship is like, but like the big sister cares for her. She mentioned her dead brother, like who's been dead for like 5 years. She's about to enter this tournament, and never once is there a sentence like, "My heart aches. I feel fear rising up." Something, it's giving nothing. I don't know what she feels because she doesn't tell us. Like, there's no emotion in this. No emotion whatsoever. This is so, it's weird. It's reading descriptive in a not good way.
There's a lot of cursing going on, so if there's romance in here, I 100% think there's also going to be smut in this. This entire thing just feels like exposition. Like, everything that I'm reading is just info dump. And I don't like that. It's not written very well. How much do you want to bet that she's not actually going to stay away from him?
Here is what I don't understand. She goes up to sign up for whatever the fuck this is. I still have no real clue what girly is about to enter into. But even this dude, she's like, "I'm a scribe, okay? I was not meant for fighting. My body wasn't meant for fighting. My mom thinks I'm a disappointment because my bigger sister is all of that." She's like riding a dragon. She's tough and strong, whatever. I'm not. She still enters into this thing. And then even this general dude is like, "I thought you were going to be a scribe." And then her sister's like, "Well, she changed her mind." Why? I'm so confused. Like, what's the reason that she's entering into this tournament thing? Why can't she just be a scribe? Her father was a scribe. I don't understand anything that's going on. I think we found the love interest on page 26. She walks out of a door. 3 writers stand there. She describes the first 2 normally, and then the third turns in my direction, and my heart simply stops. And guess what his hair color is? Guess what his hair color is? He's tall with windblown black hair and dark brows. Ding, 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 ding.
We got the love interest, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary people.
Oh, it's bad. So she describes him. She says, the scar makes him hotter. Flaming hot, scorching hot, gets you into trouble and you like it level of hot. Suddenly I can't remember exactly why Mira told me not to fuck around outside my year group. No. No. Flaming hot, scorching hot, gets you into trouble and you like it level of hot? No. What kind of fucking writing is this? And of course, he is the one that her sister was like, "Stay away from him."
I finally got a reason as to why she's doing whatever the hell she's doing. Her mother. Apparently every Sorengale, which is their last name, is a writer of a dragon, so she's doing it to please her mom.
The childhood best friend has entered the picture. His name is Dane. He's hot, he's exceptional. He's the leader of a writer squad or whatever. I love me a good love triangle. I know everybody hates it, but I I like it. And he cares very much for her, and she cares very much for him. Also, she's already made an enemy, which is so stupid. He just wants to kill her just to kill her. He's a bully. It's stupid. It's so based. It's not based on anything. It's so... It doesn't... No, I don't feel that. I don't feel that. Don't put an antagonist in there just for the sake of having an antagonist. It doesn't work like that. You know what I don't understand? Why are there dragons? And what's the use of them? Like, they train, they die to train to ride dragons. All of the lore in whatever they are is kind of like built on the whole dragon thing. And it's mentioned that there was a war with another country or kingdom or something where her brother died. I don't know, or like a rebellion. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, this is how teeny tiny little it was mentioned that there has been some sort of uprising. Does it warrant the dragons? Where do the dragons come from? Have they always been with the humans? It's kind of like alluded to that the dragons are superior to the humans, the people in the book, but they're like bonding. There is no lore explained. Why do you need to write dragons? Is it like, are they weapons for war? Do you use them in any sort of way? Like, this is so poorly established. Like, everything about this story is so poorly constructed. I'm on page 50. I don't understand what's going on at all. Like, I don't understand this world at all. And usually, yeah, take your time building a world and like explaining everything to me, but I need some pointers. Just a few.
Okay, apparently people have magic, but I think only when they bond with the dragons. None of that is explained. Yet, at least.
Never mind, we get a little bit of an explanation. The dragons channel their magic through the bonded rider, which I like the concept of that. That sounds very interesting. However, it's not explained any further yet. It's just like, oh, you know, there's fire wielding and ice wielding, so like Avatar style elemental bending, you know? And then the childhood romantic interest, what? I can't speak. The childhood romantic dude. The romantic interest, the love interest, he can read people's recent memories. So I'm just asking myself, like, does the magic that the dragons channel through the humans, or into the humans, does it have to do with them? Like, is a specific species of dragons tied to, like, the magic and like the kind of magic that a human can do now? Explain a little bit more, please. For the way that everybody's been like, you're going to get killed in this camp because of who you are, because of your last name, everybody's gonna like want to kill you or whatever. It's been pretty tame. Like, I've read bully romances way worse than this. Like, the only thing was that someone tried to break her arm during like combat practice or whatever. It's not that bad. The most interesting thing about this book, though, is learning about dragons. So I'll give it that. That is interesting. But that's all. That's all. I don't like anything else about this book so far. What? It's been 7 weeks? I'm on page 107? What? I've been skim reading, I have to be honest. But 7 weeks? What have you been doing? What? Oh my god. Can they stop talking about her stupid hair? She has like brown hair and then the tips of her hair is like silver. Like, she has dip dye like we all had in like 2013. And they cannot shut the fuck up about it. I think there's more behind it because they talk about it so much, but oh my god. Update. I'm on page 158. Is it good? No. But I like the dynamic between the childhood friend, Girly, and then Zayden. I don't know any names. And I will not know any names. I will not remember them. I do not care. But the childhood best friend is like overprotective because he's like, Girly, you can't do anything. And Girly's like, how dare you say that? I am incapable of a lot of things, but, you know, I can do a few things. And then the other dude, the hot one, he's like, yeah, you're a fucking loser, but there's like sexual tension. And now she has chosen, or she is being chosen, she was being chosen by 2 dragons. Not 1, but 2. One of them is like a myth, a legend, a black one that has never bonded with another rider after the one that he was bonded with was killed in battle or whatever. Of course she bonded with that one, like, because she's special. And because she's special, she got 2 dragons and not 1. And the big bad dragon is mated to the bad boy's dragon. So they're like linked, because the dragons, when they're mated, they can't be apart from each other for too long or they will fall sick. So, forced proximity trope, y'all, we love to see it. Dialogue could use a lot of work. Writing could use a lot of work, but it gets the job done. I see the idea and I'm trying to alter my expectations to what I'm being fed. I don't like what's on the menu, but I'm a little bit hungry, so I'll have a little nibble, okay?
So the childhood friend is kissing her, but she's like, the crush is gone.
I really wanted the love triangle to be there for a little longer, to add some spice to the whole thing. Cause yeah, we have like the forced proximity now, but like, it's also supposed to be enemies to lovers, I think. Which I kind of, that aspect is not really working, to be honest. I just checked Goodreads. Why did nobody tell me that this shit was 500 pages long? Cause 500 pages is a lot for a book that I didn't even want to read. This line slaps so hard. Go off, queen. Go off. She's doing exactly what I've been saying. He treats her, he's like, you can't do anything. And she's like, you know what? Someone's so focused on the least I'm capable of doing. He can't believe I can do so much more. Yeah!
You know what? I like Xaden. I like the bad boy love interest. I very much like him. Okay, so Girly found out that the little dragon that she's not supposed to bond with because it's like freshly born or whatever gave her the ability to stop time. It's not that they're sharing magic, but like the little one pushed the magic into Girly. And they just found that out after she was attacked. And Xaden's like, promise you won't tell anyone about the time stopping. 100% I feel like this is foreshadowing. I feel like her ability is kept quiet and then someone's one day just gonna come and accuse her and be like, you can stop time because of your little baby dragon. And then she thinks he betrayed her or something like that. Like, this is foreshadowing. Something's gonna happen. Or I feel like one of her friends is going to betray her in that sense. I call it now.
Okay, let me catch you up to speed. I'm 85% in, so we're almost done. Girly has kind of like ended it with the childhood crush dude. Her and the bad guy are kind of like an official thing. Yeah, she has manifested lightning powers. And I don't know. I feel like nothing is happening. Sorry. Girly killed the antagonist. There was some sort of game or whatever, I don't know, but she killed the antagonist because he killed or attempted to kill somebody and she was like raging, and then she came into her powers, which is lightning, and she killed him with the lightning.
What? What?
I know the time and pacing in this book is really odd and really off, but like, she's in love with him. You twice. You don't know this person. You're in love with, oh my, get the fuck out of here. Surprise, surprise, we got betrayal, okay? All the people who were marked with that like rebel sign, they're still rebels. Quick, everybody act surprised. And Girly's having like half a meltdown because she's like, everybody lied to me. Xaden, bad boy lover, lied to me. My dragons lied to me. And then I don't care about that. I really do not give a single fuck because I'm not invested at all. I don't like Violet. I don't like anybody. I don't care about anybody. But what hits the fucking hardest, okay, is that she turns to Liam. Liam is the best friend of Xaden. And he's become friends with Violet because he had to act as her bodyguard. And so she turns to him and she's like, has it been real? Have we ever been friends? And he says, we are friends, Violet, but I owe him everything. Bars. Bars. This friend betrayal, better than the romantic betrayal that Girly, whatever, who the fuck wrote this book, is trying to pull off. Childhood best friend read her memories without her knowing, like without her permission or whatever, and now he found out about ethebine, whatever the fuck that is supposed to be. And now they are, like, all the rebels and Miss Girl, they are, I think, being hunted and they're about to die. I don't care. I literally do not care. I do not care at all. The only thing I like is that the childhood best friend betrayed her, but in such a subtle way that I didn't pick up on it, which technically that's very good, but this book, it's not doing anything for me. It literally does not do anything for me. Liam's dead. Aww. Rip. If you can recall, Girly is born to two dragons, right? And one of them is itsy bitsy teeny tiny a baby, and so she's not strong, she cannot fly for very long, and I think that she's going to die. I only have 15 pages left, so read with me. What a flattering angle. There's too many italicized words because everybody's communicating through their mental bonds. I don't want to read this anymore. This is exhausting. She's poisoned. She is poisoned. I don't care. It's just that I think the last chapter is, yeah, it's Xaden's point of view. Ugh, I hate when authors do that. Okay, she's been like in a coma for like 3 days or something. I don't care! She can't die because I know I can't live without her. Based on what grounds? Okay. I see what the author is trying to do because she gives us an entire paragraph about how he recounts the time that he's known her, and he's like, I've been stunned by her cunning and bravery or whatever. So the author is trying to gaslight us into believing that his feelings are genuine. It's a fucking lie. Like, I don't buy this. You cannot try to rewrite the story. You cannot give me an enemies to lovers where I don't buy into the romance at all. I don't have words. I don't have words. I don't buy this. I don't buy this. It doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel true. It doesn't, no.
Get the fuck out of here.
The sentence continues. I've come to accept that particular truth over the last year? Year? A year? It's been a year? Okay, wow, I finished. I'm done. Last cliffhanger, last surprise of the story was that her brother is not dead. He is part of the revolution against their government or something. He's not dead. He healed her. Pretty assholey move though, to make your family and your beloved siblings believe that you're dead or that you've been dead for 5 years. And then to be like, the first thing he says to her is, welcome to the revolution, Violet. Excuse me? She believed you dead for 5 years, and that's the thing you say. That's the first thing you tell her?
What happened to hello? How are you?
Oh, let's wrap this up. Okay, I want to preface this by saying, like, if you liked this book, good for you. Everybody has different reading tastes. But I didn't like it. I didn't like this book. What I kind of want to say is that I like the idea of the book because we have our main girl, Violet, and she lives on these academy grounds where there are dragons and they're in war, okay? Because I didn't understand that there was a war going on. So there's war, okay? And Girly, instead of being a scribe for whatever reason, her mom's like, you need to also be a dragon rider. So she goes and like gets 6 months of crash training to become a dragon rider, and then enters this like dragon quadrant or whatever. She like goes to become a dragon rider. There she meets Xaden, who is the child, one of many. He along with many other are the children of the rebels who kind of like rebelled against, I think, the leadership or something. Anyway, they're the kids, and Violet's mom killed his dad. And so she's like, oh shit, he wants revenge on me. But I think he or his dad killed her brother, so in his eyes they're even, but she doesn't know that until they meet and he literally says it like 2 sentences in. Anyway, he's supposed to be like the enemy and like the romantic love interest or whatever. They train, whatever, and then everything else you should have picked up on how I gave updates, how like she's bonding with dragons, their dragons are mated, they can't be without each other, and then at the end there's like a betrayal. Okay, are we all caught up? Nice. So, I hope that I wasn't supposed to read the little chapters in the very beginning of the book, because I didn't do that. I have a lot of critique and a lot of things don't make sense. As I said, I love romance, okay? I don't read without any romance in it. Just for once, I would like a love interest who's a little bit ugly. Cause girly meets Zayden and we get like an entire page of her describing the way he looks and he's so decadent and so beautiful and just amazing. And for once, I just want a love interest who is like decent. Or who doesn't catch her eye the very first second or the third time they meet. She doesn't immediately notice his presence in the room. Because I don't think that we've seen this kind of love interest in a very long time. And I think it makes for such a good setup where they like maybe are forced to hang out together or whatever. They can still be like enemies or like rivals or whatever, but they're forced to be together, and then one day our love interest is like hanging out with her. He's like next to her, maybe they're looking at a book or whatever, and then she turns to the side and she's like, I've never noticed that his eyes like sparkle. But no, of course we don't get that. Of course there's like some sort of like insta attraction and like instant lust or whatever, which aww. Also, I didn't really buy the whole enemies thing because he, from the very beginning, made it very clear that they were even. Like, he had no interest in killing her, he had no interest in getting revenge on her or whatever, and every other thought of Violet was like, I wonder when he's going to kill me. Like, Girly already told you that he's not gonna do it, okay? Drop it. It was a very forced trope, and it would have been fine if they just like coexisted. Or maybe were like rivals, like academic rivals or something. But like the forced enemies to lovers, I just didn't buy it at all. It just felt so unorganic, which kind of like leads me into that everything about this book felt super organic. All of the characters felt very interchangeable. None of the characters really matter except for Zayden, Violet, Liam, and like the 3 dragons or whatever. Like all of the other, like even the friends that were, like the friendships that were formed in the very beginning, which were very artificial, like as artificial as the conversations in this book. No, because her sister is like, hey man, don't form any friendships, you're not going to make any friends at this academy or whatever, like don't, it's not worth your time. And then Violet goes off and makes friends in the most unnatural way. It felt very weird. The one thing I did like was the childhood best friend, whose name is Dane. It was set up to be a love V. I called it a love triangle because we always call a love triangle, but it's a love V where 2 dudes are interested in the same girl and then the girl's interested in 2 dudes, but the dudes are not interested in each other. So it's a love V. You know, I like myself a good love triangle or a good love V. This one was obviously set up for the reader to know that Dane was not the good choice, because Dane was very overbearing. He was very condescending when it came to Violet and Violet's choices. He kind of like take away her authority, and then Zayden was set up to be like the exact opposite. He was kind of like the Reese of the story, where he gave Violet kind of like all the authority that she wanted, and he was like, yeah girl power, you go, you do whatever you want. And Dane was like, no, you can't do anything, you are weak and you shouldn't be here. It was very obvious. I don't think it lasted too long. Like, I think Girly was disinterested in Dane pretty early on into the book, which, thank you. But also, like, even if you don't pick up on like the subtlety of those characters being like 2 ends of the spectrum. I have seen enough K-dramas to know that the childhood best friend never gets the girl. Like, he's the second lead. Speaking of Reese and Farah, it kind of threw me off that, you know, when they bond, so I kind of understand why the dragons can talk to the writers, okay? Because they need to communicate. The dragons and the writers, they're like bonded and they need to communicate. And obviously, it's really hard to have such a huge chunk of the book dealing with dragons. It's kind of hard to like not have dragons talk when there's such a big part of the plot, which kind of funny that I say it like that because the dragons don't appear until like way into the book. And for the way I can understand why this book is so popular. I understand because we've never really had a dragon story like this. All the ideas have kind of like been recycled. It's all the same. It's all been done before. You know, if you want to read a fairy book, you have like a bajillion options out there. But if you want to read a dragon book, there's a very small space when it comes to like good books about like dragons, where dragons aren't just like coexisting in this world or like don't play that much of a part and they're just like kind of part of the lore. Here, the dragons obviously are an active part of the book, and I don't think we've seen something like this in a very long time, which I think is why a lot of people like it so much. But gosh fucking darn it, has some standards. Just because there's dragons in there doesn't mean that the story is good. And I understand that it's kind of hard to like not have the dragons talk, so I understand that, you know, they need to communicate, but then because this is gonna be a little bit complicated, so stay with me, okay? So Violet and her 2 dragons can mind communicate. Then her mated dragon, just one, the one that's mated to Xaden's dragon, that dragon and that dragon, they can also mind communicate. And then all of a sudden, Feyre and Rhys, like, Xaden and Violet can like mind talk to each other. And then when you have like battle scenes and everything is like italicized, that is so exhausting to read. It's so exhausting to read. While we're on the topic of like talking about characters and things that I didn't like, I didn't like Violet at all. She was so inconsistent as a character. I felt so detached from her, and she's very inconsistent, and she is so gosh darn fucking special that it upsets me. You can be a little bit special, I get that, it's fine. I don't mind the like chosen one trope, but oh my god, the book doesn't cut any corners when it comes to like showing you that Violet is like the best and like so special, and she's so smart and she's just so special, because like girly doesn't get one. First of all, I think she's supposed to be disabled. I can't speak on the rep because I'm not disabled, so I'm not going to speak on that. So she's very small, and the odds are kind of like stacked against her because she is so small, that she's going to, first of all, make it through the dragon training writing school, and then also that she's going to be bonded with a dragon, which obviously that happens. And then she not only gets 1 dragon, but she gets 2 dragons, and then also her powers manifest, which is like lightning. And then she also is like one of the only girls at this like academy or whatever that has like long hair. Everybody else has like buzzed hair or like very short hair, because when you're in battle, because these people train to go to war. They are trained to fly to war with their dragons and fight in a war. And then everybody's like, hey Violet, you should really cut your hair. And Violet's like, no, just cut it. Why can we not have like a female fantasy character that has like short hair? Just cut it. It's hair. There's war, girl. Cut your hair. And then also, which I kind of hate, is, I almost called her Rhys. Xaden, he calls her Violence, and I don't mind them giving each other nicknames or whatever, but like, what warrants that name? She's not violent. Like, she never showed us that she's violent. She never ever killed anybody. The only time that she killed anybody was like 80% or something into the book, where she killed that antagonistic guy whose name I don't fucking remember with her lightning. When the power manifested, that's when she killed somebody for the very first time, which I don't understand, because they go to this college, okay, which is also something I don't understand, because this book has no logic in it. There's no logic, zero, no logic at all. So they go to the school, and these people are allowed to kill each other. There are certain rules, like they're not allowed to kill each other while they're sleeping, or while there's like a superior officer in presence or whatever. Like there's rules to killing each other, I don't know. But groundwork is that they're allowed to kill each other, and then so many people die during this training, and I don't understand why. First of all, going back to the whole Violet thing, like everybody's killing each other, and so many people are out for blood because she is the daughter of her mother. Her mother is like a high-ranking officer in the war or something, and then also her sister is very successful, and then her brother was also a very gifted writer. But she has like this lineage where her family is very powerful, and everybody's like, hey, everybody's out for blood, and she like tries to poison people because she knows that she physically can't take them, but she never poisons them to the point of death. And then also when they are like in combat, she never really hurts anybody seriously. She never kills them. Also, when people are trying to kill her, she doesn't try to kill them. And it's also never really been part of her character where it's established like that she's ultra against violence, because remind you, she's in this school to go to war. Anyway, what I don't understand is, apparently because they're at war with this other country, right? I think so they need all hands on deck. There's a limited amount of dragons, so obviously like only the best writers are like chosen by the dragons, and then people who make it through the training but they're not chosen by dragons, they like repeat the year until like to go back into what I think is called the threshing, where the dragons choose the writer, which I don't understand. So how many, first of all, nothing is explained. The whole lore isn't explained, because like if you have like 170 dragons, okay, you have 170 dragons, and this year 170 writers are chosen, so those 170 dragons are gone, okay? There's established that there are babies. How fast do they grow? How many babies are made for the dragons? Because if you have new recruits every year that all need dragons, and you constantly need to pump out like 170 dragons, is that doable? We don't learn anything. We also don't learn anything about the magic system. I think I've talked about this before, but we don't learn anything about the magic system, so I'm not gonna waste my time on that.
Okay, hi. As I'm editing, I just want to kind of like add 2 points that that really drove me crazy that I don't think I ever really brought home. What really upsets me about this fantasy and what I kind of like wanted to say about the world building is that it's so important because we're in a fantasy world where we don't know the rules, and if you have any sort of magic, you need to explain that. The magic that comes from the dragons that gets channeled into the humans is never explained. Where it comes from, how exactly that works, if it differs from types of dragons or whatever, if it like is the same, because there's like basic magic that they do where they like use ink pens or something or like unlock doors, and then also like the whole power manifesting thing, we don't know where that comes from. The whole mind talking thing, I can understand, you know, if you blame it on the magic of the bonded dragon with its rider, which is not explained enough for me to just take it at face value. But then also, like, Xaden and Girly, like, being able to mind talk with each other, that doesn't make any sense because the magic in itself is not explained at all. And then also, Girly is sometimes praying to gods, or like when they read of like the death scroll or whatever of people who have died, they're like, we command their souls to Malik, who's like the god of death or whatever. So they establish that there is a religion, which is thrown in very randomly, never gets explained. It doesn't really play any bigger role in the story. It's never really brought back. It's never really explained. It's like the gun thing for filming. When you have a gun appear in a scene, it needs to be used at some point. You can't just show a gun because you build expectations within the reader, or within this case, within the viewer, and then you end up disappointing them because you don't use it. You can't just do that, especially in a fantasy where the ground is not the same ground that we walk on here in reality. You need certain firm rules, you need a set of ground rules that needs to be set in order for the reader to understand the world that they're living in. I just wanted to add that. But that doesn't make any fucking sense. And then also, I get that you kind of like want them to repeat the year. I'm not a war expert, okay? But if you're at war, don't you need like defenses other than just the dragons? Like, don't you have like an army like on foot or spies? Can you not utilize people in a different way other than just having them ride on their dragons? Because you also have like scribes, and there's something about an infantry that I don't understand because it never gets explained and it never gets mentioned. Why is this school so dangerous? Why are they allowed to kill each other when you're at war, when you can utilize those people and build a bigger army? That doesn't make any sense, especially because in this school they're like, show support to your wing, like you are supposed to be a unit or whatever, and there's like no, like nobody's with anybody, like everybody's whatever, there's no camaraderie, whatever the word I'm looking for, none of that, none of that. Okay, so I don't understand. It's so stupid. Like, just recycle the people who failed to bond with the dragon and then send them somewhere else. Build a bigger army. That's how you do war. I don't know. I'm just going to talk about the pacing of this book now. The pacing was so off, and I think I've mentioned this before in like a few updates that I've given, but I was so thrown every single time when Girly was like, yeah, months have passed, a year has passed, weeks have passed, and I'm like, what the fuck have we been doing? Because they're at the school. She's in her first year. That means that she needs to learn everything. So she needs to learn combat. There is something called battle brief where they talk about battle that have been fought, I think, before, and it's like a strategy class, I think, or they kind of like talk about recent updates and recent news on the front or whatever, and that's it. They never learn how to ride a dragon before like bonding with a dragon, and even then after, we never get to see her train. She mentions it, I think, twice, where I think we get her flying like once or whatever, where she keeps falling off, and then she only kind of like mentions it in passing, where she's like, yesterday we flew for like 2 hours, and today we flew for like 2 hours, and tomorrow we will fly for 2 hours. But she never really, like, we never see it. Then she also gets like trained by somebody, and she's like, I'm so sore because of training yesterday. Show us on page. Stop doing everything off page. It's so goddamn annoying.
오늘 비 예보가 있습니다. 낮 기온은 25도 안팎을 맴돌겠습니다.
Everything I feel like happens off page, which I don't understand, because if so much happens off page, what happens on page? This thing, I think, is 600 pages long. Nothing happens. And we don't see any progression. Like, Girly doesn't really get stronger, she doesn't get smarter, she doesn't learn how to ride her dragon. She only learns how to stay seated on her bonded dragon because Xaden makes her a saddle. And Gertie's like, no, I don't want my dragon to help me stay seated, because he kind of like used magic to like bind her legs or something so she wouldn't fall off all the time. And she's like, no, I want to do it by myself, which I understand, but there's war! Girl, you don't have time to do that. Let him help you. It just benefits everybody. Yeah, so the pacing was really off. The writing was also not good. So a lot of times there would be bars, okay, especially in the dialogue, but that only happened like 5% overall in the entire book. Everything else was just crap. I think what bothers me the most about this is that I was really looking forward to dragons. I didn't like anything. Did I like Xaden? Yeah, but were his feelings kind of like believable? I don't know. So was the romance fine? No. Did I like Violet? Absolutely fucking not. Did she have any sort of like character growth? In my opinion, not really. The whole childhood love thing was so super unnecessary and so blatantly obviously set up. World building, absolutely terrible. In my eyes, there was like nothing. I didn't see anything because there was nothing really well described. The pacing was not good. The writing was not good. The dialogue was not good, because a lot of the dialogue and even internal monologue was just exposition. Like Girly, she's a scribe, right? And when she was nervous, which she also only did in the beginning very conveniently when the reader doesn't know anything about this world. In the beginning, when she was nervous, she would like recite facts from books. And I could let it slide that she gives us exposition or info dump, maybe once or twice, if the other times she would recite plants, maybe, like types of plants, or like fruit. Like dumb, stupid information that she read in a book once. But all the time we just get info dump about this world, about the war, about whatever, and it's so stupid, unnecessary, it's so convoluted. And I would have rather that the author put this into the lessons that they're supposed to have, because they don't learn anything, we don't learn anything, they don't train. I don't fucking know what's going on in this book. It's so upsetting. It's so upsetting. I can't tell you anything about what's going on in this book. So instead of like giving us this stupid info dump during her rants, which they're so long and so unnecessary, she could have just been like, okay, so there's dandelions, and then there's lilies, and then there's roses. And roses have thorns, but lilies don't. And then have the information that the reader needs in order to understand the world utilized in a different way by implementing it into the lesson that they're supposed to have. Because they're not really having any lessons. They don't really have any school to learn anything, and they don't really learn how to ride a dragon. Just have more things happen on page. I don't know how this, who did this even get edited? Did anyone beta read this? Did anybody give any sort of criticism before this? This feels like a first draft, because this doesn't feel thought out. This feels like the author was like, I have a great idea, which it is a good idea. She just put everything on the page, and then she was like, let's publish this. No second thought, no editing, nobody else had an opinion to like restructure this, because this has so much potential. Amazing, this is such a good concept. It's just that the execution fucking sucks. And all of the characters felt so interchangeable, unlikable, so many dialogue left and right, and so they're just used, they're not even plot devices. They're just there for like shock factor to be killed off. It's so stupid, like none of it hit. Even like Liam's death didn't touch me at all. I didn't care. Liam doesn't make an appearance until like way into the book when he's supposed to be like Violet's bodyguard or whatever, and then he dies. I didn't care. I didn't care about anything. None of these characters felt real. I'm really upset about this. I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of good books. I've read a lot of bad books. I've read a lot of books that were bad but were entertaining. And I wish this was the sort of book that was bad but entertaining. But unfortunately, it just wasn't. And I'm so mad because this had so much potential to be good. But it needs so much more than just words on a page. Like, you need, for a high fantasy like this, you need such good world building. You need characters that are engaging, and you need good writing. You know what the worst fucking thing about this is? I told my friend all of the things I told you, minus like all of the spoilery things. I give her a spoiler-free like review. I told her all of these things. I was like, hey, I don't think that you're going to like this book. Here's why I didn't like this book. And she's like, okay, valid. I think I'm still gonna read the book. I read this book for you, okay? I read it for you so you can get my opinion on it, so you can know if you have to read it or not, and I tell you that you shouldn't read it because it's not good, and you're like, I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't think that I'm going to do a lot of like book reviews. This one was just because my friend asked me to like give her my thoughts, and I was like, okay, why not vlog this? And then, okay, I'm gonna edit this now. Bye bye.